they're going to say no. That's why we have this approach. Does everyone get that? So you want to get them to agree. You want to get them to agree to the concepts of the training manual. That's why you always explain it first and say, you saw what I did? Great, that's what you're going to do. So that's why you actually want to act when you're doing the demo part, you actually want to say what's in the training manual and not add more. Because then you say, hey, by the way, doesn't this sound familiar? Yeah, it's what I said to you 2 minutes ago. And they're like, oh, that's how it's supposed to sound. That's why you have a rep. That's why a rep on day 2 and on day 3 should do the demo. So they're like, oh, this is how it flows. And they're literally like paging through it. Okay. Another objective is to build a relationship with each individual in the training group. How does that happen? You got to roll up your sleeves and build a relationship. You can't manage people and influence people in a group. You can kind of like throw out some ideas, but you got to sit down one-on-one. That's what I did. I sat down with a lot of you that are running offices, or all of you. I sat down with you one-on-one to just like, okay, let's have a relationship right now. And we were addressing your particular needs in that particular instance. So what you're doing is you're taking every opportunity. If you're not up there speaking, you're in their kitchen and you're like, hey, great job, by the way, on this, this, and this. And there's always something that they are doing that's well. Does that make sense to everyone? So your job is to find what they're doing. When you have a relationship with them, then they're going to listen to you. They won't listen to you unless you have a relationship with them. So you know what it takes to have a relationship, right? Show an interest, curiosity, care. Okay, so the better we know you sheets, you like look them over. But before that happens, like in the interview, get to know them. Right? In the pre-screening, during the interview, eye contact, like all those things, like open body language, that helps the relationship a ton. And the last thing is that reps leave with 6 to 10 demos. You know you have a really good training when reps are leaving with 10 demos plus. When a majority of people are leaving with 10 demos plus, that means like they listened to everything you said. They kept phoning for 3 hours. They kept like, it's like everything you asked them to do. And when they show up to advanced training and they're over 1,000, that's when you know you have tons of influence. If they're not showing up like that, it means they're not really totally paying attention to you. And that could be because you're not confident. It could be because they don't trust you. So those are my thoughts here on that. So day 1, it's about building confidence and building a relationship, which again, that gets you influence. And it's influence, it's not a manipulative influence. It's a, hey, I know how to sell Cutco. If you just do what I teach you, you're going to sell a lot of Cutco. That's what I mean by influence. You're just trying to like inform them so they make good decisions. Day 1, it's about setting expectations for the work atmosphere, which is the culture, right? So I used to say things like, I'm 100% committed to you. And then you know what I did for their entire career? I was 100% committed to them. It wasn't like I'm 100% committed to you in training until you launch, and then I'm not going to PDI you every day, right? It's not that. If you say you're going to PDI them every day, you PDI them every day. Even if they're an AM, you PDI them every day. Or don't say it. So just make sure that you're totally congruent with everything you say in training is exactly how it is, right? You know, what else do you talk about in the work atmosphere? Like, hey, you know, leave your problems at the door. So if you're the type of person that doesn't leave your problems at the door, don't say that. Does everyone get that? So you've got to really look at the welcome talk and ask yourself, like, hey, do I actually do these things? Do I exemplify these things? And the expectations of the position. So not everyone sells 1,000 their first weekend. Hey, we have a lot of representatives that sell 1,000, right? So you're talking in groups of 3. Hey, some of you, by the way, are going to work really hard your first week and sell over $1,000. Some of you, maybe you have really busy weekends and you won't. By the way, you could also sell $1,000 on one demo. What's the biggest order, Grant? What's the biggest order you ever had? Great. So you might actually sell $2,400 on one demo. Grant, did you think they were going to buy $2,400? No, right? So you might walk into a demo and you might sell $2,400. Grant, what's the lowest sale you've ever had? Or lowest right? It was 0, right? Well. So sometimes you're going to sell 0, right? So you're like helping them understand like what can and will happen. And it's like, hey, some of you are nervous right now, but by the end of training, you're going to be confident. But throughout training, you're going to go kind of up and down like this. Okay, so now they're like, when they actually lose confidence, they're like, oh, this is exactly what he talked about, right? Or she talked about. Be yourself. Right? Some of you, sometimes I watch, you're like this professional presenter, and then when you start talking to me, you're like a normal person, like you normally talk. You just, by the way, the way I talk to you right now is how I talk to people always. So that's why you want to know exactly what you're going to say, so that way you're not thinking about how am I supposed to say this. Again, right now, you've seen me do this before. I don't even know what I'm about to say right now, but I'm just saying it because I'm just trying to get a message across accurately. I'm not in my head about what am I supposed to be saying. I'm just like, what do they need to hear? So I'm trying to model for you right now, be yourself. I'm being myself exactly in the moment. Does everyone understand that? Okay, but your best professional self. Well, you see me swear a number of times, not in training. Okay, like the more they work with me, the more I let them into my world. Does everyone understand that? Okay, but in training, it's like, it's for me, training is shirt, tie, jacket the whole time. Like, I'll give you an example, like leather shoes, not like casual shoes and stuff like that. I want them to look at me like they would look at, the top recruiter at any company that comes to their campus, right? People come to your campus at Mizzou, right? Do they dress like super casual and all that? Okay. So by the way, if they're a casual company, they do. Correct? Yes. If they're not a casual company, do they dress like that? No, because they're like, hey, I need to make an impression on them. That's a positive one. Okay. It's little things like, is the garbage clean? Does the office look clean? Like, those are professional. That sets the tone. Building value in the position is what you do in the welcome talk. So you talk about the experience. You talk about the time management skills. You talk about all these things. That helps them understand more about the job. And then you want to introduce them to as many reps as humanly possible. So reps, the trainees should see the same reps 3 days in a row. So on day one, it's like, hey, Muriel, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about how are you feeling when you were in training on day one? I was pretty nervous. How do you feel now about the job? It's pretty easy. What's your advice to these guys? Listen to Mike and blah blah blah. Great. Day two, he comes back. Hey, Nate, today, or Muriel, we're going to teach him how to get on the phone. Were you nervous getting on the phone that first night? Yeah. Okay, right. Is it that hard, though? No. What's your advice, by the way? What makes it easier? Yeah, read the script. Did anyone accuse you, by the way, of like reading a script to them? Or were they all just like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, great, yeah, 7 o'clock works? Yeah. Did some people say they weren't going to buy? Yeah, everyone said that. So that's going to happen for you guys, right? And now they're like, oh, that's going to, by the way, how many of them actually bought? Most of them bought. Okay. So it's like, hey, don't believe me, but this guy that you've seen 2 days in a row. Day three, hey, you remember how you were feeling today? Were you nervous? Yeah. Were you thinking you were going to sell anything? Yeah. What'd you sell your first weekend? A little over. What'd you sell your first 10 days? 90. Great. What's your advice to these guys about their fast start? How many, if you could do more demos, would you have done more demos? Yeah, I would have done twice. Okay, great. And now, like, they're like, oh, that Mir's a guy. He's a cool guy. If they see the whole team 3 days in a row, it's only going to build confidence. And it's also a nice distraction, right? Didn't that just kind of create a distraction? It's me talking for 6 hours a day for 3 days. Not so much fun. Having a stop by kind of breaks up the monotony of it, right? Next is help them build confidence while they're role playing. Again, genuine compliments through engaged listening. So you're not on your phone, you're not doing anything else. You are actually like, give your phone to your AM. Wear a watch so you know what time it is. That's it. Okay, so your top rep's about to quit, great, your AM can handle it. When you're done with training, they still will have quit. Right? It's not going to solve anything, right? If you're going to solve it afterwards, right? So just tell your AM, hey, if my mom calls, stop me. Otherwise, don't stop me. I'm going to run training. That's my job right now. Your job is to be fully engaged with the group. It's just like this meeting, right? This whole time I'm here, I'm like working nonstop until I leave and get my Uber. Does everyone get that? Okay. All right. Genuine compliments, and then set proper expectations for pay. So you want to help them understand, like, hey, this is what's going to happen. Here's what's normal, by the way, and here's what's possible. I always let them know what's normal, what's possible. All right, day two. Got to go a little quicker So your job is to build the value in Cutco through analogies and the cutting clinic. If they, by the way, we would use the pizza cutter. We would use the turning fork. I know some of you are like, how do you use the turning fork? We would just have them stick something in, flip it over. Hey, test that out. Great. Hey, test this out. So there was like a massive table of food, and every single piece of Cutco I had, they used. Why? Because those are the pieces that come in Ultimates and Signature sets. Does everyone? So if you're like, what? We don't sell signature sets out of training, it's because they don't get fired up about the product. You got to get them fired up about as much as humanly possible. And by the way, they cut food on day 1 too. I think you realize that. And the analogies are just helpful, right? Do you remember when I gave that analogy earlier today? It was some like random analogy I gave about the penguins of Madagascar. Right? That was one of them. I gave another analogy. You guys remember? It was like, you guys thought it was pretty funny. But there was another analogy I used today, and you were like, oh, I get it. It was about my kids or something like that. Doesn't matter, but analogies help. The ice rink guy. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that wasn't really, but it was something else. But I used outside stuff to give you perspective. What's that?
It was the snow outside.
It was the snow outside?
Yeah, because you're talking about combo, and then you're like, oh yeah, that's a shit show.
Oh yeah, but that wasn't even it. Don't worry about it. But see, do you guys remember? Like those are the things you remember, right? Why don't you tell me everything you remember about Nate's talk on value? You're probably like, I don't remember, right? Because he didn't. Vice versa. You get the point. Because there was not as many stories, but stories you remember. Stories, you don't need to know the details. You know the gist of it. That's why analogies work really well. Have a vision for yourself on day 2. I don't even know what that exactly means. Here's what I would say, is that you should know how many demos do I want them to have on average per person. You've got to walk into the day, just know that like it's an all-out battle until I get them to the demos that I expect of them to have. Day 2, no joke, I would go home and I was absolutely exhausted. And I went to bed early because day 3 is the most important day. What's the most important day? The day that you're in right there. You crush day 1, day 2 is a heck of a lot easier. You crush day 2, day 3 is a heck of a lot easier. You crush day 3, they sell a crap load of Cutco. Advanced training is ridiculously easy because it's like, oh, by the way, what'd you sell? 2,000. What'd you sell? 1,000. What'd you sell? 4,000. What'd you sell? 3,000. Great. You guys think people are going to buy Cutco? Great. Now, are you ready to listen to me now? Because remember in training, you weren't really totally listening to me. Now you are, because everything I told you exactly works perfectly, right? Great. You're at 3,000. You're at 2,000. You're at 5,000. You're at, right? Okay, yeah, you didn't sell anything because you didn't do any demos. All right, listen to all these guys. By the way, what'd you do other than follow the manual and cut rope and stuff? That's all I did. Great. All right, get on the phone tonight, right? And it's just like whatever I say now is gospel. That's why you want to crush training. Because how is it to run a team meeting where it's like, you're at 4,000, you're at 4,000, you're at 3,000, you're at 3,000. Hey, keep doing what you're doing. Get on the phone tonight. It's easy to run. Like once you crush training, you don't have problems the rest of the career, unless you're like a lazy manager, you don't PDI your people every single day. Or unless you cut corners and you show up late to meetings and stuff like that. Okay. All right, day 2, it's also about giving them the basic skills and insights for whom to call. Hey, let me tell you why you want to call HM30s, right? Because they buy, right? Again, and you're helping them understand. Let's talk about if they're like over 30, but they're not married, do they cook less? Yeah, they probably cook less. When I was over 30 and not married, I order out all the time. Is that what does your mom and dad like have sushi every night? No, they don't. Why not? Because they have bills and they have stuff they need to pay, right? They have family, right? So how about if they're under 30, right? Would they buy as much? Yeah, maybe, but they're also, they go out a little bit more, right? You guys understand? But if you're like over 30, your kids are maybe a little bit older, or you have reasons to cook, right? If you own a home, why? Because you're buying stuff for the home. How much does your mom and dad spend on groceries every single week? Yeah, a couple hundred every week. Yep. When they go to Costco, how much do they spend? $400 or $500? Yep. So what does $300 for Cutco seem like compared to that? Nothing. That's why you show HM30s, because they have no problem stroking checks out for $300 for something that lasts them forever. Does everyone understand? And now it's like, oh, I get it now. Does everyone understand? Like, that's what you're trying to do. So why do you want to see your best demo first? Because it'll give you confidence. Because how many of you right now are like, I don't know if anyone's going to buy, right? Everyone raised their hand. Great. I'm going to tell you, you're going to do demos for your top 5 people and you're going to make sales. Then what's going to happen? You're going to feel confident. Okay. And then like, here's why you do this in the phone approach. Here's why you say this. Here's why you say this. Here's why you ask for 2 times. If you don't ask for 2 times, here's what happens. Let me give you an example of what how. Like if you just say, hey, when can you do an appointment? They'll say, how about March 17th of 2021? Because I'm kind of busy. And you're going to be like, okay. Because you're too wimpy. But if you just say, hey, does 4 o'clock work or 5 o'clock work? Is somebody going to be like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to rearrange my wedding. I was going to get married that day to do your Cutco appointment. No, they're not going to say that. They're going to say, oh, those times don't work. And then you're going to offer another day and 2 times. Does everyone understand the difference? That's why you read the approach. Okay, let me actually read it for you so you hear how it sounds. And I read it for them. I go, does it sound like I'm reading? No, not at all. That's how you're going to sound. Is anyone ever going to say to you, you sound like you're reading a training manual? Grant, did that ever happen when you were on the phone? It will never happen for you either. All right, make sense? Okay. And then you want to meet with them at the end. You know why you want to meet with them at the end? Because they're shitting a brick. Right? Do you remember what you felt like? You have demos booked and you're like, oh my gosh, this is real. Right? Do you remember before you got on the phone how you felt? How many of you were like, this is not going to go well? They're all going to say no. This is going to be really hard, right? That's why you meet with them. Your job is to walk them through the fire. It's like, hey, I walked through fire, no problem. Let's do this thing. And you walk them through fire. Okay? By the way, when they go home that night, what happens? Mom, dad's like, you know, how much is it? $1,000? You should not do this, right? They're going to get blasted, you know, when they go home that night. You just need to know that. So day 3 should start with, hey, how are you? How are you feeling about things, right? How's mom and dad feeling about things? Oh, they're kind of discouraging me. Hey, are they discouraging you and you're wanting to quit, or is it just kind of like they're that way? They're just being that way. Okay, great. Have they ever done that before? Yeah. By the way, a lot of times parents are just like the discouraging type parent. And it's like, hey, have you ever proved someone wrong? What's it like to prove someone wrong? Hey, let's go ahead and prove them wrong. So now it's like we're on the same team. I don't dislike your parents, but maybe they're just kind of that way sometimes. Is anyone's mom or dad kind of that way sometimes? Okay, like 4 or 5 people's hands went up. Not everyone. Okay, some of your parents were like, you should sell Cutco. It's awesome. I love that you're doing this, right? So there are some parents like that also, right? So keep that in mind. Okay, and then keep building the relationship. How do you keep building the relationship? Keep engaging with them, keep complimenting them, keep, you know, again, it's the things that you do to build a good relationship with anyone, right? Day 3, all right, let's see here. All right, have trainees feel comfortable with contracts, because you remember signing a contract in training? Okay, not really. I do. I remember like, holy shit, I'm signing a contract. This is kind of a big deal. I don't even know. Like, I want my brother. He's an attorney. I want him to read it. I was literally like, I was super skeptical at that point. So I read through it. I'm like, hey, this is what this means. No big deal. By the way, this is what this means. Because there's some wording in there that sounds a little. If you read the contract, there's some wording in there that it's like you cannot use the word Cutco and you cannot, right? Like that part. That's the part you got to be like, yeah, it's basically here's what it means. You just, you know, can't say you're the corporation because you're not actually the corporation. You are an independent contractor. Does everyone understand? You want to put a business card together, just talk to me about it. Make sense? And they're like, oh, okay, no big deal. Is everyone clear on that? Okay. And recommendations. You want to have them feel comfortable with recommendations. Hey, let me tell you what happens, by the way. Let me tell you why people give recommendations. Because they like the demo. They like you. They like, what do you think they're going to talk about when you leave? The next phone call they get is like, hey, Susie, I just saw these, you know, this kid Chase. Do you remember Chase? He was on our basketball team of our kids. Yeah, he showed me these knives. They're pretty awesome. That's what's going to happen anyway. You're just asking them to do it now. Does that make sense? All right. Have trainees see the value in dropping down as seen in the manual. So here's what happens when you drop down. Okay, here's why we go from this set to this set. Here's why we don't start with and just say, hey, what do you want to get? Because it's really complicated for someone. They've never seen Cutco. They have no idea, you know, from one set to the next. You're kind of casually dropping down with them and helping them come with a good decision. By the way, most of your orders are going to be a like list. Let me walk you through a like list. By the way, you did it on day 2, you do it on day 3, and if you do the demo form also on day 3, have the rep go through a like list with them. Okay? Next, you want to get 100 plus PR names. All I'll say is just watch the Hurlman video, script it out word for word. Mirza went from like averaging how many in the first 3 weeks of May? Yep, to how many? Number 1 in the region. He went from like averaging 50 a week per person to number 1 in the region average, because he watched it 5 times in a row over 3 days. So that's how simple like you can get good at the parts of the business. You want to have trainees feel confident that they know the basics of the manual. So it's like, hey, by the way, do you remember how you were, Nate, on day 1 when we were role playing this? You just did the whole thing. You just spoke to someone for 45 minutes. So they all do the demo and training. That's how I used to run training. It's like before training starts, like they're all role playing the whole thing. And I'm like, do you remember how you were on day 1? Look how you are now. You just spoke for 45 minutes about knives. You're a freaking knife expert. That's how customers are going to see you. Ben, was he pretty good? Yeah, he was really good. Okay, all right, Ben, your turn now. And again, you're just walking around. It's like, hey, that's great, by the way. You're so much better. By the way, is that not accurate than day 1? They're 1,000 times better. Hey, wait till you do 10 demos, by the way. You're going to crush it. On Monday, you're not even going to recognize the demo. Like, you're just going to be flowing, off the top of your mouth or whatever, off your tongue. What is it? Yes, no, whatever. But you guys get the point. Rolling off your tongue, something like that. Okay, so you also want to help the trainees see the value of ongoing training. So I take 15 minutes to explain PDI. Here's what PDI is. Here's what PDI isn't. If you don't call in 3 days in a row, we're probably going to fire you. I'm not going to necessarily say that. So your first time, like, I'm going to be like, hey, no big deal. Second time, it's like, hey, come on, you need to call in every morning. By the way, here's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to roll over in your bed, pick up your phone, hit Mike, call Mike. You can be in your bed with bedhead talking to me on the phone. You can hang up afterwards and go right back to sleep. Or you can physically come here every day. Which one would you guys rather do? Would you rather make a phone call or physically come here every day? Okay, physically call, or just make a phone call, then that's all I'm asking you to do. Okay, by the way, there's advanced training. There's also team meetings. By the way, your first 2 team night outs, you need to go to first 2 team. If after that you never want to go to team night out again, you don't ever have to go. First 2 are mandatory. So write that down in your manual. First 2 team night outs, mandatory. And run team night out every team night out. Every week you run team night out, even if there's one person only, because you can give them value. And then last is keep building the relationship. Right? So some people, what they do is they're like, all right, you're launched. Okay, I'm done with my job. And like, that's where the relationship starts. The relationship starts now that they've finished training. You got to keep, working on that relationship. Okay, last couple of pointers that I'm going to give you. I'm going to give these fast. Working with top people. You want to identify the top people, which are like high achievers in and out of academics or athletics, enthusiastic people, and self-confident people. Okay, encourage them to higher standards each day of training. So, hey, you know what? I'd like to see you at 10 demos. Or, hey, study your manual. Like, in fact, tomorrow when we role play, I want you to like know it flawlessly. So tonight, can you take like 20 minutes to study it? Yeah. And then when they call in the next morning for PDI, I'm like, hey, do you have any time to study it? So they actually study it twice before they roll into day 2. So they've got it crisp. And it's like, wow, you're going to crush it. And they actually perform better than their like role-playing partner. And they're like, wow, I own it, right? I'm really confident. Spend more time with them. At the end of day 2, let them know that they're some of the top people. Help them understand their role. On day 2 pre-training, just get to know them. Hey, tell me a little bit about yourself. That's going to help me understand more about you, right? That whole conversation. And build confidence after training. You're going to crush it. Great job. You got 4 demos booked. Make sure you have 10 tonight, or however you guys do it. I used to have fun afterwards, so I think it's different today. But day 3, again, before training, I'm just like building the value for. Here's why you go all out. Sell the benefits of a big fast start. If you sell the benefits, people want to have big fast starts. All right, that's and then one last thing. Ask them their goals. Is it okay if I push you? How many demos do you want to book tonight? 10. Great. Is it okay if I push you? Yes. Great. Start the dynamic in the relationship where you ask for permission to push them and they say it's okay. And then your job is to push and challenge them. You can also ask, you can be like, hey, by the way, you want to keep phoning, by the way, or do you want to stop? I want to keep phoning. Sounds good. Call me back after you line up 2 more. Great. Do you want to keep phoning or you want to stop? I want to keep going. Okay. Or hey, what's your goal? It's 15. Great. Hey, you're at 12. I know you probably want to stop. Let's get you to 15. Does everyone understand? Like, you're just working with them, again, working on the relationship. How do you get better training? Study it, run it, analyze your results, It's a skill you will all get better at if you're serious about getting better at it, and then get better at building relationships. That's how you really get better at training overall. And you can work on that, any number of ways, but there's books on it. There's also just like, how you show up with things. All right. What's next here? I think it's Mike on PRs.
Yep.
All right. You're a little bit behind, but we've got time. All right, go for it. Hey, I'm going to head out in a second.